They say the desert remembers everything, even when the dunes shift, when the wind buries entire worlds, the sand keeps its secrets. I am an old man now, and I have no right to speak of what I know, but silence is a heavier curse than truth, and my dreams have grown cruel. So listen and remember this story, for one day the sand may whisper it to you as well. Long before Cairo was built, before men tamed the river and called it theirs, there stood a monastery far beyond the reach of any traveler's map. The villagers called it Deir el-Sahra, the monastery of the desert. It was said to have been raised not by men, but by those who wished to keep something asleep beneath the earth. No one went there willingly, not even the Bedouins who roamed the wastelands. They said that the monks of Deir el-Sahra never prayed for the living or the dead. They prayed for the silence of the deep. I saw it once when I was a boy, herding goats near the western dunes. At sunset, when the world turned gold and red, I caught sight of a dome half buried in sand, its cross eroded by time. I thought it was abandoned. Foolish child that I was, I crept closer, calling out, hoping for shade or water. That was when I heard it, the chanting, a low, rhythmic murmur rising from beneath the earth. It was not in any tongue I knew, nor Coptic, nor Arabic, nor even the ancient speech my grandfather used in his prayers. It was older, deeper, like the desert itself was humming. The sound made the air feel heavy. My goat bolted. I should have run too, but I was rooted to the spot, listening. The chant rose and fell like the tide of the Nile, patient and unending. Then, without warning, it stopped. The silence that followed was worse, so thick it pressed on my ears. A moment later, I heard something else. A single breath drawn from beneath the sand, long and shuddering, like something vast had just awakened. I fled. For years, I told myself it was the wind through the old stones, but I never went back. Until the year the rains failed. You see, our village depended on the wells, and that year, every one of them turned bitter. The old men said the ground itself had soured. So the elders sent me and 2 others to find a new spring near the western ridge. It was there, after 3 days in the burning wind, that we stumbled upon the monastery again, unburied this time, half revealed by a storm that had torn the dunes away. It stood like a fossil of faith, carved from black stone that shimmered under the moon. The great doors were closed, but the air was thick with the smell of incense and dust. My companions wanted to leave at once, but I saw a faint light moving behind a narrow slit in the wall. A candle, or so I thought. We knocked. No answer. Then a voice came from inside, old and hollow. The chant must not stop. The doors creaked open. Inside, we found a single corridor sloping downward, lined with walls covered in faded inscriptions, half hieroglyphs, half script I could not read. The air was colder than the night outside. We followed the sound deeper, drawn to the heartbeat of that strange chanting. At the end of the passage lay a great hall. There, dozens of monks sat cross-legged in circles, their heads bowed, their lips moving in perfect unison. None of them looked up as we entered. Their robes were the color of sand, their faces pale as bone. In the center of the hall was a pit, round and deep, from which the chanting seemed to rise like smoke. Every monk faced that pit, as though their voices were holding something inside it. I whispered to one of them, asking if we might have water. He did not answer. He did not even blink. Then I noticed something that chilled me more than the cold air. Their chests did not rise or fall. They were not breathing, yet the chant continued. We backed away, trembling, but one of the monks, the eldest, with eyes clouded like milk, suddenly turned his head toward me. His voice was dry and thin. "You should not have come here, son of the sand. Leave while the rhythm holds." I asked him what he meant, but he only lifted a trembling hand toward the pit. "The voice beneath dreams," he said. "If the chant breaks, it will remember the world." The ground trembled then, just slightly. A ripple of dust fell from the ceiling. For a heartbeat, the monks faltered. The chant wavered. And in that brief silence, a sound rose from the pit. A whisper so vast it felt like the earth itself spoke. Hun-ak. My ears rang. My heart felt as if it would stop. The monks screamed, if you can call that thin, breathless noise a scream, and their chants surged louder, frantic now, desperate to drown the word. The eldest among them fell forward, his hands clutching the floor, his mouth bleeding sand. We ran. We didn't stop until the stars blurred above us. My companions never spoke again after that night. One hung himself by the well a week later. The other wandered into the dunes and was never found. I lived, but the chant never left me. Sometimes when the wind passes through the palm trees, I hear it again, faint and patient, like a memory that refuses to fade.